Hey, you guys, welcome back. We are over here in track two again to speak with Rick and Wendy from Lighthouse for the Blind. I just want to take a moment real fast to thank our sponsors Castle Biosciences, Ascentage Pharma, Immunocore, Delcath Systems, TriSalus, Life Sciences, the University of Miami Health System, Sylvester, sorry, I got to look down here, Linnaeus Impact Genetics, and ARA. All right, thank you for your sponsorship. And we want to just take a moment real quick to bring back Rick and Wendy. So if you weren't in our previous session, let me just introduce them real quick. So Rick, again, Rick Hart joined the Lighthouse of Collier in February of 2015. His primary responsibilities now are to teach assistive technology groups and facilitate their weekly adjustment to vision loss support groups. As an individual with vision loss due to retinitis pigmentosa and a counseling background, Rick knows firsthand what it is like to live with vision loss. He enjoys sharing his field expertise and his life experience to help his clients build skills and increase their confidence. Wendy is also here with him, and she works as a certified vision rehabilitation therapist and orientation and mobility specialist for the Lighthouse of Collier in Naples, Florida. She has more than 20 years' experience in the field of education and rehabilitation for persons with low vision and blindness. We're super excited to hear from them again today and to hear what they have to share with us about adjusting to vision loss and just living with the glass half full. And that is not what we need. All right, so we're going to go ahead and bring them to the stage.
Sorry, my phone just went off. I thought I had that off.
You're totally fine. Thank you again for being
Hi,
here.
welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, welcome everyone. Like she was saying, it's adjusting to vision loss and living the glass half full. That's what it's all about. So let me go here to our presentation. All right, I have to go here. All right. Today we're going to cover the Tuttle and Tuttle, which were researchers in the field of blindness and vision loss, 7 stages of adjustment. I believe these were written way back in 1996, but the research is still good today. And the Tuttle and Tuttle 7 phases of adjustment basically describe the specific stages a person with a new diagnosis of vision loss may experience. So the emphasis is on may, because these stages, an individual may not go through all stages. They may not go in order of the stages, but they may touch upon some of the stages. It really depends on the diagnosis, how sudden the vision loss is, and the degree of vision loss. But it is important to know that these stages are a normal part of the adjustment to vision loss process, and that the end goal is acceptance and living a life with a glass half full. So I think for the psychosocial aspect or information, it is important to know that these stages are normal. What people experience and feel and go through are totally normal, part of adapting to a life with vision loss. Did you want to add anything about that?
No, and definitely stressing on the normal. When I meet with people individually, if I had a nickel for every time somebody thought they were the only one feeling that way, it is everybody comes in saying that, and everybody has very similar feelings. So it is very, very normal the way you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. And also we will get more into the support groups, but that's why attending support groups can be very beneficial, to learn about these stages and know that what you're going through is typical.
I'm not alone. And you're not.
Yes. Okay. It's also important to know that, as we mentioned, different people go through the adjustment stages differently. But there are some factors, as well as onset, how fast it happens, the level of vision loss. There's other factors that can influence adjusting to vision loss and living a life with vision loss. Personality types.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Some people adjust to situations much more easily than other people. That is very important to note. You could have two individuals with the same level of vision loss, but one person handles it much more differently than the other person. Perceived notions of blindness and vision loss. What are the stereotypes? A lot of people believe the stereotypes. And because they believe the stereotypes, they can halt their progress towards accepting their vision loss. So stereotypes are a huge, huge factor in being able to adjust to your vision loss or not having the
I
stereotypes.
think adjusting the thought process, your own thought process, is it's a very important phase to go through, because we create these thought processes in our own mind. We're projecting what a person with vision loss is supposed to be like. So when we lose vision, we feel that's the way we're supposed to be, and it is not true.
And we have seen some people act like what they think a person who's blind or visually impaired. The stereotypes. They follow the stereotypes. Motivation. Motivation is huge in the adjustment process. Are you motivated to take your life back? Are you motivated to regain those skills of independence you may have lost? Some people are, some people aren't. Motivation is huge. I mean, what's that phrase? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Yep. So when it comes to training, we can tell people about all the simple to tools, tips, and techniques, or the training that is available. But if somebody's not willing or interested, that's as far as we can go. So motivation is huge. Anything else about motivation?
Living with vision loss is going to take plan B. Does anybody have a plan B out there? Because that is now plan A. So if you don't have a plan B, get one. Understand that you can accomplish most anything in life you want to accomplish. Give yourself more time, because everything is going to take a little bit more time. We discuss often. We have many people in our groups that are very successful people, and they would do home repairs. Something that would take 20 minutes might take 2.5 hours. They're getting it done. They're motivated to continue doing the things they enjoy doing. They just have to adapt to it. Plan B.
Cultural views and attitudes towards blindness and vision loss. This can be a big one as well. This could help hinder somebody's progress towards regaining independence. I spent some time living overseas, and blindness rehabilitation was not, it was a developing country and was not very accessible. I had a fellow coworker on campus who nobody ever told him he could use a cane and get to his classes. He was a teacher, and I gave him a cane before he was relying on people coming to his door and walking him to his classroom. But it never occurred to him that, you could easily use the cane and get to campus. So cultural views can play a big role. Additional disabilities. So sometimes, we have people who maybe experience stroke with vision loss,
hearing
loss. So that can definitely influence the adjustment process because they're dealing with other issues. We do have some people who have vision loss with eye pain, right? Dealing with pain is a whole host of other issues to deal with, and we do understand that. Level of support. You want to say anything about that?
The more support we have, the better off we are. Networking, and that's why it's so important to get involved with groups, get involved with the agency for the blind or low vision in your area. Start to meet other people like you. Have your family members meet other family members with people living with vision loss, and just go out there and network and meet as many people as you can. Exchange your stories, exchange ideas. I've been legally blind for more than 40 years now, and I am learning new things still from other people. And I'll say to myself,
Mhm.
how could I have not thought of that through the 40 years of being legally blind? But there are so many things out there that people have to share, and just supporting one another. So, networking, expanding your knowledge, knowing more people is crucial.
All right. So again, keep these in mind, factors that can influence adjustment or the speed of adjustment. So now we're going to go into the actual 7 phases of adjustment by Tuttle and Tuttle. And again, not everybody goes through these stages, but the first one is trauma. So for example, folks that wake up and they, lose a significant amount of vision. It is pretty rare to lose total vision, but even losing partial vision can be traumatic. Feeling overwhelmed on hearing the news from your doctor for the first time that you're losing sight or may lose sight, that can be very traumatic. And it's validated if a person feels a level of trauma in the beginning.
Once again, 41 years later, I still remember the conversation I had with my doctor about my vision being uncurable and that it will continue to get worse for the rest of my life. I remember that like it was yesterday. So, yes, it was a very, very big part of my life. Important part. It started my journey towards becoming the person I am now, but I remember it well.
Mm-hmm. Or somebody who's diagnosed first with ocular melanoma. That
Sure.
I could only imagine that feeling like a traumatic news.
Right.
So, okay, shock and denial. People are in shock, right? Or denial. 3 factors that can influence. We kind of mentioned this: the significance of loss, the suddenness or unexpectedness of the event, and the degree of loss. But let me see if there's anything else.
Well, with the shock and denial, we have
Yes.
people that come in right away. The first thing people want is they're hoping to get their vision back. The majority of the people, that's their primary goal. That's their primary hope. People that move past that more quickly start to adjust a little bit better, but some people have a more difficult time getting out of that stage. They wait and they sit and they do nothing and they wait to get their vision back.
Yeah, we see that quite a bit.
It's
Yes.
We try to tell them, well, maybe you'll get your vision back, but let's keep practicing.
Yes.
Let's keep doing something.
I mean, we don't want to take away the hope because maybe there is hope, and we're not doctors, but
absolutely,
yes, have a plan, take action in case things don't change.
Right.
Or sometimes individuals think, oh, well, my vision's not that bad yet. We see this a lot. I don't need a cane. However, if somebody really does need a cane and we recommend one, sometimes I get phone calls that the person just fell or they fell down some stairs or they tripped on a curb and they should have been using a cane. So because they were in denial of needing the cane or not believing that their vision, that they have to be totally blind to use the white cane. Well, I would say only about 5% of people who use the white cane are totally blind. The other 95% have low vision. So an orientation mobility specialist can help you decide if you need a cane. And some people may need it all the time. Sometimes they only need it in the store to get help.
If anything, I have a cane folded up right here. If I'm comfortable somewhere without the cane, fine. But if I'm not, I open it. And if anything, that alerts everybody around me that, hey, it puts the attention on me. Says he's visually impaired.
Okay. I think we're on the 3rd stage, mourning and withdrawal. Clients may become isolated and stop doing activities they once loved. Self-pity is the main characteristic. And I sometimes, I have the privilege of going into the home for the first time and meeting with the individuals, who have vision loss. And, I definitely see people in this stage. And again, especially when they have stereotypes of what it means to be blind or visually impaired, they can get stuck in this. They don't know that there's other solutions out there, that there's easy solutions to maybe more high-tech solutions or techniques or tools out there. They just don't know. So for me, this is actually an exciting time to come in and work with the individual, because I know within an hour and a half time that I can help turn this around, turn their views around about being visually impaired and what it means to help them move on from this stage.
Yeah. And then piggybacking on that, I can collaborate with Wendy to find out what is safe for the client. So, say the client, it's safe for them to walk to their mailbox, but maybe no further. So now in a support group or one on one, I'm going to challenge that client to go get the mail. Why don't you go out and get the mail? Give it a try. Why don't you do it twice this week? And then we'll keep pushing them. And then once they get involved with the group, that's why groups are so important, the group members will encourage them. And then they'll start poking jabs at each other and laughing at each other. And it'll encourage people to get out and do more things. Like I said, if it's only safe enough to go to the mailbox, that's as far as I'm going to push them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice to be able to collaborate with somebody who gets the inside scoop.
Yeah, I had a gentleman who just he wanted a beer.
Yeah.
We worked on him getting to that refrigerator and getting that beer, and he felt so comfortable or so confident. I said, the next time, let's work on you making a sandwich.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that he could actually go from his garage to his living room. He just needed someone to tell him, yeah, this is totally possible. Let me just teach you a few quick and simple techniques for mobility, and you can get around. So again, helping people move on from this stage. And again, not everyone goes through this stage. We have many people that skip this stage completely. It just depends on the person. The fourth stage is called succumbing and depression, which are basically the 3 Ds of depression: despair, discouragement, disinterest, disenchantment, and despondency. So, Rick, what would you like to say about this stage?
The D's, I mean, as human beings, we probably fall back into those every now and again. I think it's important, if you feel despondent, if you feel any of those D's, to not isolate yourself, to get away, get out, make a phone call. If you do live alone and you can't get around people, get on the phone, be as social as possible. If I know somebody in my support group is feeling this way, a phone call goes out and people start calling that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very important to work yourself through it if you can. I am one of the people that revisit this stage. I go back to this stage. I don't live there. I'm not in the stage all the time, but life will happen and 2 or 3 or 4 things will happen at one time, and I find myself in that stage. So I have to work myself out of that stage and keep moving forward. So being around people, isolating yourself is probably the worst thing you can do if you're in this stage.
And that's why it's important to know that these are normal stages.
Yeah,
Jim had a good comment. I'll read it to Rick. It says, good to actually call out the mourning. The quote, it's exactly what it is. Certainly, I mourn the loss of the person and the capabilities you had prior to the loss of your sight in the one eye. It's true, and that is normal. Mm-hmm. Mourning who you were, being able to get up and go and drive and navigate certain situations, or maybe now you have visual fatigue, whatever. It is normal to mourn the sighted Jim, right? The fully sighted Jim. So, letting the individual allow for that mourning, knowing that that is normal, and anybody would go through that.
Sure.
Anybody would go through that. So, and that's okay. It's okay. Okay, the next stage is reassessment and reaffirmation. The VIP or visually impaired person begins to self-examine their life and finds meaning. Well, hey, maybe I'm not driving anymore, or maybe I just, I don't have the same level of spontaneity that I had. But you know what? Life is pretty good, and I can still do this, and that. Or maybe I can't golf as well as I used to, but I can take an orange high contrast ball in golf, or put like a beeper in the hole so I can find it. So starting to examine that, what, I may not be the person that I was before, but life is still pretty darn good.
Yeah. And readjusting our thought processes. Um, I am independent. Now I have to redefine what independence is. I'm not jumping in a car, running into a grocery store, grabbing a gallon of milk, jumping back in the car and being home in 20 minutes. But if I truly want to take care of my responsibilities and be an independent, productive person, I'm going to grab my cane. I'm going to walk to the store. I'll get help in the store. I'll buy that milk and I'll go home. I did that by myself. I held up my end of my family chores
Uh-huh.
a different way. So reevaluating what independence is really important. And things, I mentioned earlier, things are going to take more time. So we have to give ourselves more time to get the same task done. But we can do that.
Yes. Um, and I'm not quite sure who wrote this. I think it might be from CNIB, Canadian National Institute for the Blind. They say people have three paths to choose: isolation, immobilization, or taking your life back. And I know Jim had just commented again about that person being gone forever. So it is true, and there's research on that as well, Jim. Um, Having to reinvent yourself of who you are and developing new roles, new hobbies. Sometimes people have to get new jobs. It just depends on the level of vision impairment. But each day that we fill our baskets with new responsibilities, new jobs, new hobbies, we're regaining our independence and our life and who we are now. We're redefining, who we are as a person with a vision impairment. It may not be exactly the same person, but people reinvent themselves all the time.
And it's a process. The person you're turning into may not be the person down the road you end up being. You'll start to find different avenues, different things you like.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the more people you meet, the more you network, the more you get out there. You can become a leader.
Mm-hmm. Just addressing the hobbies and the interests. We mentioned in the last session about the audiobook app, which is amazing. You can have numerous amount of audiobooks that you can't get from your local library even. We have a lot of people we introduced to that, and they were never readers. Now they're avid readers, and they can't wait to attend the book club or talk about books now. So you just never know. Okay, the next slide. Coping and mobilization. This is where we start to see people coming into the lighthouse asking for help. They're in this stage. The VIP person begins to seek information or new skills to move on with life. Go ahead.
Yes, a lot of times people will first come in. They'll be scared. They'll be in tears. Their spouses will be in tears. Their children. They don't know what to do, but they're trying. And then fast forward 6 or 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now that same person is taking a new person under their wing and helping them move forward. And that helps them. That helps the person 8 months down the road knowing that, hey, this is okay. I can help this person get through what I was through. And it's progressive that way. So it's really important to get out and mobilize, meet people, be active. Take a chance. Mm-hmm. Take a chance.
Okay, coping and mobilization, self-acceptance and self-esteem. This is where the client gains self-confidence, self-worth, and begins to have closure with his or her vision loss. Go ahead, Rick.
We'll bring this up in the groups often, and I'll pick on people that have been coming for several months.
And this is the last stage. Sorry.
Okay. I will. Well,
the last stage they mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah. Self-acceptance.
Okay. So you get to this age. Acceptance is not just accepting the vision loss. It's accepting everything else that comes along with it. Accepting that if I want to get home, I'm not just jumping in the car and driving home. I have to plan in advance. So people reach this stage, they learn how to become independent in other ways. Um, it's what was the part? It was self acceptance and what? Because I had a thought.
Sorry, I was reading these great
Okay.
comments. Where's my PowerPoint? Self acceptance and self esteem.
And self esteem. Yep. Um, you know, all these different ways of becoming, redefining ourselves, and regaining our independence helps us lead to all the acceptance. Accepting our vision loss, accepting things we can no longer do, accepting our new lifestyle, accepting the cane. That's a big one.
Somebody
Accepting
mentioned
losing the
that. We'll
cane.
get to
Yeah.
to that question.
And
Mhm.
the other one is I like to bring people up that have been coming for 6 months and a year, and I compare them to their old self and to who they are a year later. And it's the, the amount of growth and the amount of satisfaction and comfort they have in that course of a year is, it's heartwarming to
Mhm.
see how far they come. It comes with work, regular work. The more you work, the better off you'll be. Um,
Yeah, and because we have clients who say, "Well, I don't need to learn that. I don't need to learn that," and then something will happen, and now the person can't rely on their spouse
yeah,
to do a certain task.
and
So it's really important. The more that we can do for ourselves, and maybe it's an alternative way, but if you're doing it and helping out, the better we feel and the more secure we are with our future as well in maintaining that
yeah, and
independence.
like emphasize work, and it's I'll paraphrase an Edison quote. Um, hey, I believe in luck, but the harder I work, the luckier I get. So the more work you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it at the end.
It's true. And I've actually had some clients. I had one guy who was told that he could have a stroke in his eyes at any minute. He had 20/20 vision. We let him come through the classes, and he went to all the classes. He volunteered for some of our trips and outings, and he said, "You know what? I'm good. I know I'm going to be good. I know all I can. If this happens, I know I'm going to be good." So, again, knowledge is power. Um, so learning everything you can, asking questions, seeing other people who are visually impaired and how they do things. I think that's
Yeah.
the number one thing.
And I
Um,
think vision loss, it affects the whole
oops.
family, the dynamic of the family. So it's not just the person who's visually impaired,
Yeah.
it's also the family. So I would encourage family members to get out there and meet other family members or meet other visually impaired people. Maybe if you're a family member and have a loved one who's newly visually impaired, meet other people who are getting things done and doing things so you can see that it's not the end.
Yeah. And family members can help you move forward, and they can try to
Yeah,
hold you
they
back as
can do both.
well. They may have good intentions, but maybe they think that a person with blindness or vision loss can't do certain things, and they hold people back. So again, we talked about those dynamics and how they can come into play. So this leads us to one of our last slides: solutions to coping with vision loss. There's a million. We just threw them up here. Um, we have allowing time to grieve.
Yeah,
That's important. Just like with any disability or uh,
loss,
any loss,
any loss.
it's important to allow yourself to grieve and know that that's normal and validated and it's okay. Part of the process. Allow for frustrations, Rick.
That's if that was one of the D's. Let's say the D's and the F's because I'm frustrated. I can get frustrated. I want to do something. I want to do it. Well, it's not happening. So I have to learn to cope it. I think as human beings, we will always get frustrated. We will always become anxious and have a certain amount of stress. I think the best we can do is to help minimize the amount of time we feel that way and minimize the intensity. And I think the best way to do that is to reach out and be around other people. Find someone you can talk to, your best friend, your spouse, whomever. and let them know how you feel. And
learn skills and techniques that will help minimize the
absolutely.
frustrations.
And that's why I said the harder I work, the luckier I get, because it's definitely a process, and there is an awful lot to learn. And if you come to an agency such as the Lighthouse, or if you find a group of people in a similar situation, you learn together, so it doesn't seem so daunting.
Take baby steps. Pat yourself on the back for successes.
Yeah, small.
Don't feel like you got to learn it all in one day.
No, you and I use the example of an iPhone. You get an iPhone, if you need voiceover, which is the speech output part of the iPhone, we don't even worry about that. We're going to learn how to ask Siri what time it is. Mm-hmm. So after the first lesson, somebody could leave knowing things they didn't know before after one 1-hour session. That's important.
It's true.
To learn little things along the way. Mm-hmm. Set realistic goals.
See the glass half full. Hence the name of our presentation. Positive attitude. Reach out to friends and family. I know you mentioned that. Talk to others who have gone through the process. Really, really important. Yep. Attend support groups. Do you want to say anything about your support groups? Anything else?
No, I think the support group yesterday, we had 16 people in it. It can get large, depending on where people are. But I will say, somebody will always have something to say that helps another person out. Everybody has something to add. And as the facilitator, I get as much out of these groups because I'm visually impaired as well. I mean, I don't see much. And I join these groups, and I get to talk just like a group member. And they help me out. They walk me through hard times. I might be one of those guys that's getting phone calls from 4 or 5 or 6 people to see how I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. And you're the one running the group. Yep. Okay. Oops. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Create positive inner dialogue, right? Meditation, if you need it, or just anybody can turn a negative thought into a positive thought. So working on that, I can do this. Yes. They've told me I can do it. I'm going to take that step. I'm going to come into the Lighthouse. I'm going to, today I want to, whatever I learn, I'm going one step forward. So positive inner dialogue. Create new goals and dreams, right? We all need to have dreams and something to look forward to. So kind of like what Jim was talking about, you may need to reinvent yourself. What are your new goals? What are realistic goals? What are new hobbies, new interests, new work? Could be something small. It doesn't have to be anything major.
Just switching the way you do things. I went from watching, I love sports. I love my teams, and I can no longer see the television. But I have apps on my phone that I find out are wonderful, because now if you're listening to a game on the radio, everybody's blind. So the announcers are announcing a wonderful game because they know nobody can see the television. So I can get full satisfaction out of any game, any sporting event I want to tune into just from an app on my phone. So that's one way to adjust. And now I'm not stuck on the couch. I can put an earbud in and I can go mobile. I can go for a walk. I can do whatever I want now and listen to that game. So, one example of just switching the way you do something you love into a different format, Plan B, because now Plan B is my Plan A.
Okay, focus on what you can do. What do you want to say to that, Rick?
What can I do? Well, I can't jump in a car to go shopping, but I can grab my cane and I can walk to the store.
And get exercise on the way.
Exercise on the way. I become a role model. I show people, here is a blind guy. I see this guy walking to and from the store, crossing the street all the time with his white cane. So I show the sighted world that being blind is not the end. Blind people do things. Blind people can do things. And I take a certain amount of pride in that. So, getting out and doing it differently. Now I'm on a treadmill. I used to be a big runner. I used to run marathons. I'd love it. I thought I was being careful. Last time I was out jogging, I looked for anything that might have been in my way, any cars, and I rolled my ankle on a pine cone. Never saw that coming. Hurt it pretty badly. So now, well, I'm going to adjust. I'm going to get on the treadmill. I'm pretty sure there's
Or
going to.
ask neighbors to keep the.
Yeah, well, now I'm just uncomfortable because now I thought I was doing everything I could possibly do to keep myself safe, and I never thought of a pine cone. So I'm pretty sure there's no pine cones on the treadmill. So I can get a really good workout in on the treadmill and, adjust from there.
Okay, and we've kind of covered this, finding new hobbies and interests or adapting. There's lots of ways to adapt your current hobby, and a vision specialist can help come up with ways and to see if it is possible. We had one gal who did Swedish weaving. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Beautiful, beautiful Afghans. I detailed weaving, and we got her a big video magnifier, and it clamped onto the table, and she could look at it up close, magnified, and put the quilt, if you will, underneath it, and it magnified it. And she was able to do that.
We mentioned talking tape measures. We still have blind people that work in their garage. They cut wood. They no longer use power saws.
But some blind people do.
Some do. But they'll get a straight edge. They'll measure the wood or whatever it is they're cutting. They'll put a straight edge or a rubber band or whatever they can to mark that spot, and then put the straight edge up against it and cut across the straight edge because obviously we can't see a chalk line anymore.
I happen to be looking across. I have a picture of several clients playing cards. And we have a client who actually, he loved to play cards with his family, and his family, many family members had a progressive type of vision loss. So some people were totally blind in his family and some had very reduced vision. He adapted a set of playing cards by putting notches and grooves on it, a different system. 2 notches meant some, I don't know, the suit, and notches on the side, on each side. Yeah, for the numbers meant something else. He adapted it. He came up with that. Now I think he's selling them on Etsy. Yeah. So he came up with a solution, and he loves to play cards, and they all continue enjoying playing cards with their as their hobby. So again, there's many ways, whatever works for you, to help cope with the vision loss. There are solutions. Look at the solutions. Okay, keep in mind, you are not alone. You can rely on your family members, talk to, someone like Rick at the local agency for the blind and visually impaired, attend a support group, look up videos. There are a million YouTube videos on living with vision loss, a million different ones out there. So that's a great, easy, free resource. You can continue to lead a full and rewarding life. Very important. Even people who are totally blind. We know several people are totally blind who are very happy and well adjusted. And we have one gentleman who throws parties all the time, and he cooks and cleans and, does the whole party, invites everybody.
He lives alone.
Yeah.
And he's totally blind for 40 years, keeps his own home. We have another gentleman that went totally blind overnight after a medical procedure. He's out in his own kayak fishing.
That's what he loves to do.
He loves to fish, so he just adapted his boat. Maybe he'll get a 100-foot cord, tie it off to a tree offshore, so he could always pull himself back into shore, and he could still get 100 feet out on a river.
Yep.
So there's just different ways of adapting, and there's, once again, I'll say, we don't know what we don't know. So if you don't get out there and start learning what's available and start learning that, hey, I'm normal. I am not unique. There are many people like me and many people that think like me, and it's okay. What I'm thinking is normal, and it's okay.
Well, this was amazing, you guys. Thank you. Do you guys have anything else that you wanted to wrap up with before we head over to Q&A?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I just wanted to just briefly, real quick, as we're reminding everyone, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat and we will get to them. We'll pull them over. I do think we had a couple come through. So we'll give you guys just a minute. Um, and we'll kind of look over at that. But I just wanted to reemphasize kind of like the gist of what I guess I feel like I heard from Rick and Wendy. And that was just this idea that if you're experiencing vision loss, and I guess for most of us with OM, it's going to be in one eye, but that is an adjustment. It involves grieving. And
Mhm.
despite all of that, despite how emotional it can be sometimes, despite how much, um, of this process of this kind of stages of grief, I think that we go through, everything still is figure outable. Like
Mhm.
it still can be, that's one of my favorite phrases. And I have to just kind of remind myself of that whenever I'm getting discouraged by, not something not working out the way that I wanted it to, is just that reminder that everything is figure outable if I'm willing to just stick with it and ask questions and learn from other people. So that is one of the big reasons that I feel like it's been such a gift to have you guys here, because you're here to offer some of these solutions, to give us some of these ideas for how to figure this out, how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And life is still good.
Yep.
Yes, for
Life
sure.
is still
Exactly.
good. Mm-hmm.
Different in some ways, for sure, but still
Different
good.
in a lot of ways. It's different in a lot of ways, but still good.
And here's I'm going to let you address this, Rick. Somebody said suggestions about dealing with other stereotypes. Not blind enough for the blind, not sighted enough for the fully sighted. That's a big one.
It is. Lots of times people, the sighted world, think that you're blind, you're 20/20, or you're blind, and there's nothing in between. Um, I am not afraid of any question. I'll explain myself. I'll tell people what I can see, what I can't see. I'm okay with that. But if somebody has a problem with me or questioning my blindness, so to speak, that's their problem. Um, I know I'm blind. I mean, do I see? Yes, yes, I can see contrast. I can see colors, but and that's why I like to get out and show the sighted world that I can do things. I'm somewhere in between. People will ask me for help. If I need it, I will take it. And I will say, no, thank you. I have some sight, so I think I can navigate my way through here. But thank you very much. I appreciate your help. But yes, I understand that in between, do I need a cane?
Yeah, Nikki brought up a question. It says, I've considered getting a cane for when I'm out in public so it can alert others around me that I can't see well. I bump into things and people a lot, and people on her blind side. Do you think a cane can help with this?
Absolutely. Here's If I'm someplace comfortable, I said I got a cane. I could fold it. I could keep it. You could keep it in a purse. They come in all sizes. So then, if you feel uncomfortable or if you feel you need it, you open it. Now, I used to walk without a cane maybe 10 years ago until I got to a busy intersection. Then I'd open the cane because I want everybody to see that I can't see the lights. I'm going based on traffic patterns. So I'd open the cane at the intersection, cross the street, fold the cane, put it away, and I'm thinking to myself, these people think I'm crazy. Is he blind? Is he not blind? I don't care what they think. I know I can walk on a sidewalk. I'm comfortable. I am not trying to cross a street without this cane because of what other people are thinking.
Well, and another time, and then people also use it for identification
Absolutely.
purposes, kind of like maybe what Nikki's alluding to in the store. Maybe you just need it in the store and you want people to know that you have low vision.
Correct.
So it can be an identifier. A lot of my clients have perfect eye contact, but maybe they can only see like 3 degrees of vision, but nobody would know that.
Airports, it's good in airports where there's a lot of security. So you want especially the security people to know that, hey, I'm visually impaired. If I'm doing something that looks strange, they see your cane right away. The cane tells everybody that you're visually impaired. And I use it for when I walk into the wrong bathroom, which happens quite a bit. Walk in, I have the cane. If I'm in the wrong bathroom, I'll apologize and turn around. It doesn't even bother me anymore.
It's just a tool, like a pen is a tool, a screwdriver, anything. It's just a tool. People get really scared and kind of hung up on the white cane. That's the biggest I tell people cane is not a 4-letter word, even though it is. It's just a tool. It's a tool to keep people safe, to let them use the remaining vision, which the vast majority of people with vision impairment have, and to let people know that somebody doesn't have perfect vision and they might need help.
Yeah.
So
And
it's just a tool.
if they offer help and you don't need it, tell them, hey, thanks, I appreciate it, but I could see well enough to get this done. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that just kind of comes back to, again, what you guys talked about, I guess, last session. So some of the people here may not have heard that, but you just talked about like advocating for yourself. And I feel like this is maybe part of
Yes.
that, setting boundaries, talking about like when you need help, knowing when you need help and asking for it, but also verbalizing when you don't, and
Exactly.
verbalizing when it's maybe too much, or maybe when people have assumed that, kind of like you said, around like family and friends, like if they assume because you are monocular that it means you can't drive, or you're not as safe at driving, or different things like that, to just kind of try to, I think, A, be patient with them because they're adjusting to this too, but also B, to just recognize that you can just explain, this is what I'm comfortable doing and this is what I feel
Mhm.
confident doing, and I would appreciate you supporting me in that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that can be challenging sometimes with family or with friends.
Mhm.
So
And
what?
that goes along with educating others around you. And some people are better, depends on personality type. Some people are better at it than others. But the more people are forthright with their disability, the easier life can
Yeah.
be, really. The more transparent people are, as long as they feel comfortable in that situation, it ends up making things a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
So
mentioned, I'm my greatest tool. I am going to self advocate. If I'm going to go shopping because I want to take care of my responsibilities, that's my household responsibility, doing some of the grocery shopping. I am going to grab the spinach out, and the very next person I see, I'm grabbing them by the shirt sleeve, and I'm saying, can you please read this expiration date? I can't see it. And I got my cane out so they know I can't see. And unless there was a language barrier, no one has ever told me no, ever, ever. They will help me every single time.
Mhm. Nikki has a question, another question about the cane. Oh, I mean, about the presentation. Who or what is the name of the 7 phases of adjustment to vision loss you mentioned at the start of this session? It's called the adjustment, the Tuttle and Tuttle. I don't know if they were married or brothers or what, but it's the Tuttle and Tuttle, Tuttle, 7 phases of adjustment to blindness. It should really be vision loss. So 7 phases of adjustment to blindness, Tuttle and Tuttle.
And it's similar to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of death and dying. I would look that up
Not
as
to be so
well.
grim, but
No, but that's they're it's all about loss. It's all about dealing with and coping with loss, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
I do have a question, just as a, like, I can relate to some of what Nikki was talking about, like with bumping into things. If I'm in the store and I have my kids with me, I have 3 kids, and if I have my 2 younger ones and they're walking around with me, I'm concentrating on trying to pay attention to where they are, but also pay attention to my surroundings. And sometimes the result is I pay more attention to them than to where I'm going. So I bump into like a
Mhm.
pole or a
Mhm.
wall. And I did that the other day, like a couple months ago, and it was insane. It was
Yeah.
it was actually pretty painful. Like, I mean, I actually bonked my
Sure.
head.
Oh,
But I mean, I was okay. Nothing bad happened, but my kids were, I think, a little confused. And so they're young, the oldest is 8. I just was wondering, do you guys have any recommendations for families dealing with kind of adjusting to, one of the parents being monocular, or just having, no sight in one side, whether due to enucleation or surgery, just like books or ways of talking to your kids to kind of remind them,
Yeah.
hey, mom can't see over here, because sometimes I think my kids think I'm playing a game with them and they just
mhm.
think it's for fun. And I'm like, no, mommy actually can't see you.
Right.
I would suggest give them a little vision simulator with
Okay.
glasses and have them do certain tasks and see, so maybe they'll remember those experiences a little
Yeah.
more.
Okay. I feel like that actually is a really good idea, like to help
Mhm.
them empathize better and just
Mhm.
know, like, this is what it feels like when you can't see on this side.
And I think you just have to keep reiterating and let them know. You need to educate them and let them know all the time what you can and cannot see, what you need help with. toys on the. It's a great way to try to get them to clean up after themselves.
If
I
only it were
can't
that
see.
easy.
Yes,
Sometimes,
but
but no, I think that's a good point. Just reiterating things and just
always.
making sure
So they know it's not
I
a
don't
joke.
expect them to remember everything.
No,
Mhm.
no, but you keep driving home the point. This is real. Mommy can't see. I'm not playing. It's not a game, and they'll catch on to that after a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think also just it's been tricky because initially, I was told, the goal was to save my eye, to save my vision, and so for a
Yeah.
while it was like we're waiting until mommy can see again. So I think that
Right.
was kind of where it crossed a line to
I
being
see.
kind of confusing. There was a little bit of a blur there, so I'm
Mhm.
sure other people can relate to that. But we
Mhm.
do need to wrap it up. So do we check? Let's check the chat. Make sure we don't see any other questions. I don't think I see anything.
That's some really good comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Rick and Wendy, again for both your presentations. For this one, I feel like it was just so validating, so validating to just to be told. I think that it's normal.
Yeah.
Like it's normal to grieve the loss of your sight
Mhm.
or to grieve the loss of your eye. So
Absolutely.
we're just really grateful for your leadership and for your contribution here.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for having us.
Thanks
Yep.
for inviting us.
All right. Well, we hope we'll have you back at a future time, and I'm sure we will just front any questions your way in the future.
Yes, please
Okay.
do. Please.
All
You
right.
too.
Well, have a good, wonderful day, you guys.
You too.
Bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
good weekend.
Thank you.